Alright, good morning world. I should make it home today. Sunrise is going to be over there. The charge controller just woke up. I've got 39.5 on the battery, 39.6, so by the time I get packed up, that should be pretty good. It's going to get cloudy later, but I think I'll be just about home before the clouds are supposed to roll in, so we should be okay there. I thought this was funny. That power line is just covered in birds. I mean, they go from here further than I can see, and there's some parts that are just black with birds. Also, the moon last night was so bright, I got up, I had to pee. Didn't need my flashlight at all. It was just like, oh, okay, no problem, you know. This sleeping bag is fairly warm, but the wind was blowing through it. So now I'm considering, do I want to use, I just realized I still got my mask on. I'm talking through my mask. I sleep with my mask on to keep warm. Yeah, I'm considering the Alaska sleeping bag, but then in summer, that's going to be way too warm. So I don't know. I was like, oh, I'll just tough it out. But yeah, last night it was super windy. It actually stopped. The wind was coming from that way when I was riding, and I'm going this way, so that was good. And then just about time I go to bed, the wind comes from this way, and I'm already set up to shelter from that wind, and I'm like, I didn't want to crawl up and move again. But the wind was flapping the sleeping bag, right? And I mean, this would be a really good sleeping bag if you're in a tent. But what I was thinking is, I'm gonna be more likely in places like this, or truck stops, or, you know, not campsites. And so I didn't want to have a tent and then throw it down on gravel and tear it up. And the Army cot is really comfortable, and that doesn't really fit well in a lot of the tents. You know, a dome tent assumes you're going to be laying down flat on the ground. So I don't know, I'm going to think about it when I get home. Maybe I can just get some, like, I've got some 3mm plastic. Maybe I'll just make a bag out of that, tape the seams, and that would block the air. It would hold the air in a lot better too. So, and then just leave the top open for getting in, I guess, or something. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that it makes a lot of sense to do a short trip before the long trip. That's something I didn't really get to do on the Alaska trip. By the time I got the bike loaded, I just went. And there's things you learn that you could tweak if you take the time. So anyway, I got some 2-day-old coffee from the truck stop. Actually, some of that is from Walmart, McDonald's coffee. I would drink half the cup and put the rest in the thermos, so I can drink some cold thermos coffee and eat my snacks. Got a bunch of nuts and a Cliff Bar and protein bars. And the sun is coming from there, so I got the bike pointed the wrong way. I was guessing, but I couldn't really tell what my directions were. So I guess I'll move the bike a little bit so it can charge, and I'm shivering, so. All right, stay tuned. Next video will probably be when I get home. Taking a solar break to give the batteries a chance to catch up before we get to the big hill, which is coming up. I've been pushing a headwind this morning, which just takes the fun right out of it, right? I'm not sure how much the mic is going to pick up here, so I'll try to talk close or whatever. Yeah, yesterday I had a massive tailwind, and I knew I mean, I hadn't even looked at the forecast, but that's pretty common out here. If you get the wind going east to west one day, it'll be west to east the next day. So I tried to take advantage of that as much as I could. And then I stopped a little bit early and let the batteries charge. There's been times on the level, I was in almost like first or second gear. I didn't want to use the electrics any more than absolutely necessary for the first hour or so this morning because the sun was super low. So I left at 8 o'clock though, so I left before I had any real sun on the panel. Like I had the bike laid down this morning to get the first sun, and that helps a little bit, but it's not very effective. So I figured, okay, ride for an hour, get a start, because there really wasn't any wind at first this morning, so I wanted to get going as soon as possible. I figured, okay, eat a little bit of breakfast when I first got up, and then ride for an hour, stop here, let the sun charge for maybe half an hour or an hour. I might just sit here for an hour, let it get topped off as much as possible. Then I'll ride for... There's actually probably another 5 miles of gradual uphill before the steep uphill. So I might do it in sections and just work it out. I definitely know I'm too heavy though, so some of the toys aren't going to make the final trip. It's better to get up the hill. So anyway, taking a coffee break. Got some 2-day-old coffee in the thermos. I'm going to drink it now. Solar charge break. I can't get a good enough angle with how I'm leaned, but I'm trying to take the shortest breaks possible because the clouds are coming in. At the moment, the wind isn't blowing too much. It's just a little gentle breeze, so that's nice. It's dropped off quite a bit. Oh sure, 2 seconds later, now the wind's gonna blow. It's really not a super steep hill, and if I didn't have so much stuff, it actually wouldn't be too bad. I've ridden up here once before. The day I sold my truck, I rode home from El Paso, so it's the same ride. I actually had a similar tailwind that day. The difference was I left El Paso at 4 p.m. A little buggy, right? So the idea there, I actually converted that to charge on USB because everything else on the bike is USB. So I could just, charge the car and also charge the remote from USB. And the camera that goes on there is a little GoPro. So what I was thinking, you always see these adventure travel shows, and you got this guy that's supposedly by himself, and you see this camera angle where he's walking off into the distance, right? Well, it's like, well, what ends up happening then is he'll do that, and then he'll turn around and walk back to get the camera, so he had to do that walk 2 or 3 times. Or he'll walk forward and put a camera and then walk back, and then, hopefully he didn't leave any tracks, or it'll kind of ruin the effect, right? So I got to thinking about it. I'm like, the idea of the little car, like if I'm sitting here, I could pull out the remote control, drive the car up the road. I'm not sure how far the remote will go yet. I only tested it on the ranch, so maybe I can go 50 yards, something like that. It's not a very good one. It was probably the cheapest thing I could find on eBay, but it is 4-wheel drive. So the idea would be drive the car up there and then put the remote somewhere and then jump on the bike and then ride past it for another 100 yards or so and then stop and then pull out the remote and drive the car again and bring it up and catch it. But what I'm finding is, one, I haven't figured out a convenient place to put the remote that I could easily just stash it. I could work on that. But the other thing, with the load on the trailer, it's so unstable right now. It's very difficult to reach down to the ground to pick up the car without dropping the bike. And also, the first 3 or 4 days now, I've been along, a busy highway, so I didn't really want to do that. If I get out in the middle of someplace like New Mexico where there's not too much traffic, I might do it then. But, I just don't want to have to try to drive this little car and try to keep it on the shoulder and, get it a long ways up there in the stop. And it seems like a good idea until you try it, and then it kind of has worked out that I don't know if I will take it. Okay, we're just about at the top. Battery's back up to 38.7. I don't know if it shows up, this number down here. It was down 36, just into 35 a little bit. That's getting pretty close to dropping off. So I'm trying to be as conservative as I can, so I stopped a few times. We're basically at the top though. Not quite the top. We got a couple of little rolls like this, but not too bad. So I'm gonna sit here for, it's almost noon now. You know what, if I sit here for half an hour, that's gonna make it better. Once we get around the corner of the hill, it's a couple rolls and then more or less downhill into town. I'm not sure which way the wind is going to be going there. And then once we hit town, it's 12 miles to home, and it's basically downhill all the way home. So if it's no headwind going home, we'll be fine. So figured rather than knocking the battery off and then having to take half the bike apart to get to the parts I need to fix it, we'll just play it safe here and let these guys catch up a little bit. I'm getting about 2 amps of charge right now. So clouds came in, just enough to mess with you. At noon I could be getting 3 or better. Okay, there the sun just poked out. It's 2.2. The numbers, that's how many amps of charge are going to the battery. There's 2.9, and then 2. And here's the battery voltage. Here's the voltage from the panel, 20 volts, 5 amps coming in, but it's 5 amps at 20 volts, and it's up converting to ultimately 41.5. So it's nowhere near full. If I had good sun, I can run at 38 all day long and just keep cruising. But with the clouds coming in, but since I'm almost home, I'm not too worried about it. Considering the load, it's a fairly serious hill, but it's not super steep. So I'm not just panting in first gear and I can hear the motor catching on fire or anything like that. I've got enough horsepower between me and the motor. It's just a matter of battery capacity. So the less load, the better everything works. So now that I've tested it like this, I have a really good idea of how much I can handle. It's good testing. I'm disappointed that I'm going home instead of going forward, but this gives me an opportunity to make some more changes, so we'll take advantage of it. All right, take a little break. Next stop should be Sierra Blanca. I don't think that's going to be readable, but the green sign in the middle says El Paso 88. So we're back to Sierra Blanca. The ranch is about 12 miles out. Made it. It's 2 o'clock straight up now. Batteries got pulled down. It just got super cloudy. So the first half of the ride I was in a headwind, and the second half it got cloudy, and in the middle of that we had that big hill. So anyway, I'm gonna post this, keep it short. I I'm going to try to upload the rest of today's video when I get home, after I sit down for a minute. Basically, though, things are working. I am really glad I made this ride just for the sake of learning a little bit about what I needed and what I didn't need. So that it's disappointing, but it was a worthwhile ride. Okay, so we'll just take it for that. Things like, you know, the new seat makes a huge difference. Wearing the padded bike shorts, those help a lot. I was wearing sweats today because with the wind it just got cold. It never really warmed up today. That's something else I'm learning, is I had a hard time. My legs never warmed up today, and that just felt like my legs were just made out of lead or something like that. So I'm used to working, you know, pedaling hard on a warm day, so cold weather is going to take it out of me a little more than I thought. Just something to keep in mind. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to come back into town tomorrow or the next day for supplies. I don't really have any food left on the ranch. Irony. So, but I don't have any room to carry anything right now either, so I'm gonna have to unload and maybe not even bring this bike. I might just bring a backpack and the blue bike or something like that. But so I might post a video then. I am probably going to do a test ride to Van Horn when I get things fixed a little bit, just to give it a good road test. That's about 40 miles each way. I've done that ride a couple of times in a day already, not with the heavy load. Okay, so that's the difference. But I have done it with the solar panel once. I think ironically, that was slower than the time I didn't take the solar panel, but the trailer added more drag. So anyway, might be, I guess what I was going to say is I'm not going to be posting updates as much as I have been for a couple days, and then hopefully we'll hit the road in a week or less. I've got parts coming Monday, Tuesday, I think, so we'll have to come into town to get those, and then I can do some of the upgrades and some of the other stuff I can work on in the meantime. Oh, and yeah, I am probably out of gas for the generator, so I'm gonna have to come in and get some gas over the weekend so I can do welding. Yeah, that's, you know, take your electric bike to town to get gas, to run the generator, to run the welder, to fix your electric bike. It's a messed up world, I'm telling you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support, and stay tuned. Bye for now.